All right, we just finished talking about dimensional analysis. Now, this second part of the dimensional analysis video is going to take a look at the practice problems. So I separated it out because I felt like the video was way too long. Now I've pulled the practice problems out. I want you to go through these piece by piece. Make sure that you are pausing for each problem before I go through the solutions. Try out the problem, set up as much as you can, and then use the solutions, my solutions, as a guide to see if you did it correctly, if you got the same answer. If you get stuck and you have no idea how to continue with a particular problem, you can start the video, follow my solutions until you get to a point where you're comfortable again. But please make sure that you're practicing and doing these problems and not just copying down my solutions or my answers. It's all about practicing right now. Okay, let's practice this. And to do that, I want you to write down 4 equalities you know for time. That means pause the video right now. Do you pause it? Okay. And you should have listed the 4 equalities for time. So let's just write down 4 that we know. So I know that 60 seconds equals 1 minute. I know that 60 minutes equals 1 hour. I know that 24 hours equals 1 day. And I know that 365, roughly, days equals 1 year. Right? So those are equalities. They relate one unit to another. Okay? Now let's use those equalities to convert from 9 hours into seconds using equalities. We said in the previous slide that the general setup for dimensional analysis is given dot line, and then the units you have, okay, go on the bottom, and the units you want go on top. So we are given this, right? That's our given, 9 hours. So we write 9 hours, okay, dot line. On the bottom, we want the units that we have. So if we look at this, our units are hours. And the units we want are technically seconds, but here's the problem. If we look at our equalities up here, we can't get straight from hours to seconds, right? We can't do that. So we need to set up a little game plan. And what I do is I'll draw off to the side here. What can I get to from hours that's closer to seconds? Well, I know that hours and minutes are related. So I can go from hours to minutes, and then from minutes to seconds, because I do have an equality that goes from minutes to seconds. So we're gonna have to do a little detour here into minutes to get to seconds. So the units I want first are gonna be minutes. Now, I'm not gonna fill in any numbers yet. I do that at the end, and the reason is if my units all cancel out and I end up with the units I want, then I know however I plug in my numbers, it will be correct. So I'll show you what I mean. All right, so far we had hours. We've now divided by hours, so they're canceled out. Our new units that we have right now are minutes, which means that we want to put minutes down here because the units we have always go on the bottom. The units we want, next, after minutes, we want seconds. So we're going to put seconds up here. Okay, so seconds goes right there. Now I cancel out, because minutes divided by minutes cancels out, turns into 1. Okay, and notice all our units are gone with the exception of seconds. So we should get the right answer if we plug our numbers in correctly. So let's go through this. Here we have a conversion factor relating hours to minutes. If I go up here, I find my equality. It's 1 hour for every 60 minutes. So the 1 goes next to hours, just like it's up here. And the 60 minutes goes next to minutes, just like it is up here. In the next spot, I have minutes to seconds. So I go over here, I say, okay, 60 seconds equals 1 minute. So the 60 goes next to seconds, 60. And the 1 goes next to minutes. So 1. Okay. Now it's just math. And according to our rules, if it's on the bottom, we divide. If it's on the top, we multiply. Well, we're just dividing by 1s on the bottom, so we don't need to think about those. Those are, you know, dividing by 1 just gives you what you got. So ignore that. But we do need to multiply across the top. So 9 times 60 times 60, which is going to give us 32,400 seconds. And I did that in my head because I'm amazing. No, actually, I used a calculator. Sorry. All right, let's do another practice problem. Okay, this practice problem is a little different. It involves money. Okay, so what I want you to do now is pause the video. When you pause the video, I want you to list all the equalities, and then I want you to try to solve the problem. If you get stuck, you can unpause it and you can get caught up to where you are. But I want you to try and solve this without following me. Don't just copy me, do it. Okay, pause now. You paused? Okay, so let's solve this. If John has 12 shillings, how many dollars is that worth if 1 shilling equals 2 yen, 6 yen equals 3 francs, and 2 francs equals $4? So let's set these up. So let's see. First equality is right here. Switch it over to the pen so don't mess up again. So there's an equality there, there's an equality there, and there's an equality there. So it's 1 shilling equals 2 yen, and 6 yen equals 3 francs, and 2 francs equals $4. Don't forget units, no naked numbers. All right, so we know that we have 12 shillings, right? That's the given. What are we gonna have to go to first? Well, based on our inequalities, the only equality we have is shillings to yen. So we know from shillings we're gonna have to go to yen. And then from yen, the only other equality that deals with yen goes to francs. So from yen, we're going to go to francs. And then from francs, we can then go to dollars. So that is our game plan. Now we set it up dimensional analysis style. So we write down our given, 12 shillings, dot, line. What we have goes on the bottom because we want shillings to cancel out. What we want is going to go on top. We know we're going to go from shillings to yen. So yen goes on top. Take it to the next step. So we're here right now, right? The next units we want are francs. So I put my francs up here. I have yen, so yen go on the bottom. That way they'll cancel out. Another dot line. I now have francs, so I can put those on the bottom so they'll cancel out. And I want dollars. So what I've done is I've chained through. I had shillings. This first step converts it to yen. The second step takes my yen and converts it to francs, and the third step takes my francs and converts it to dollars. Okay, we plug in the numbers and we'll be good to go. So we look for each equality. This conversion factor is relating shillings to yen, so I find that equality, which is right here. It's 1 shilling for 2 yen. This equality is yen to francs, which can plug in right here because this is yen to francs, right? So it's 6 yen and 3 francs. And then the last one is 2 francs for every $4. So 4 goes next to dollars, 2 next to francs. Okay, here's a little trick. Before we do any math, what you can do, because if it's on the top you're multiplying, and if it's on the bottom you're dividing, we can do some reducing. Notice, here we're multiplying by 2, here we're dividing by 2. Multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2, they're just going to cancel each other out, so they disappear. Okay. Another one we can do, I'm going to just spot these right here, 12 and 6, right? 12 divided by 6, this is going to turn to 1, and this is going to turn to 2. 12 divided by 6 equals 2, right? So what we're left with is 2. This canceled out and turned into 1. This canceled out and turned into 1. So it's 2 times 1 times 3 times 4, which gives us $24. Okay? So my hope is you solve that. If not, I have one more practice problem for you to look at. This is kind of a crazy one. Take a look at it. It's kind of challenging. You're going to try and figure this out. Actually, hopefully you're going to figure this out, and I will give you the answer to it at the beginning of class tomorrow. All right? Do it. Practice this now. Figure it out. Start with your equalities. Figure out a game plan that's going to get you from what you're given to what they eventually want. Set up the dimensional analysis problem, and then plug in numbers. All right? Good luck, and see you in the morning.